The desert of southern Colorado sleeps under a sheet of cold silence. Miles away from the nearest town, surrounded by fences layered in razor wire, stands a structure built for absolute control. Concrete, steel, order. This is ADX Florence, the most secure prison in the United States. To the locals, it's just another government facility hidden in the desert. To the men locked inside, it's something else, a tomb for the living. As daylight fades, the last trace of orange bleeds off the walls, and a dull hum replaces the sound of the world outside. The day shift of officers walks off. The night crew steps in. Every movement in this place is timed. Every lock turned with purpose. Inmates know what's coming. They've lived the same pattern for years, sometimes decades. The speaker crackles through the corridor. Prepare for lockdown. It's almost 10 p.m. Guards move through the tiers with heavy steps. Boots echo like slow, methodical thunder. A set of keys clinks with each step. A sound so ordinary, yet inside ADX it feels final. Each turn of the lock is a reminder. Another man sealed inside his personal box. The cell is 7 feet by 12. Concrete floor, concrete bed, concrete walls. A steel sink, a toilet, and a door that shuts out everything except time. The window, if you can call it that, is a narrow slit angled toward the sky. You can't see the ground, can't see the fences, can't even tell what direction the sun rises. The design is intentional, to erase the outside world, to make men forget there ever was one. As the guards pass, some inmates press their ears to the door, listening for footsteps, the last human sound they'll hear tonight. Others lie on their bunks, staring at the ceiling. Some whisper to themselves. Some just close their eyes, waiting for the inevitable. When the final round is done, the loudspeaker hums again. Lights out. Instantly, the cells go black. Only the faint red glow of emergency bulbs flickers down the corridor. Enough to remind them they're still being watched. The air shifts. Silence fills every inch of space. 100 men breathe in rhythm, unseen, unheard. The hum of the air vent becomes a lullaby and a curse. Out here, time doesn't move the way it does anywhere else. A minute can feel like an hour. An hour can stretch into eternity. Somewhere, deep in the cell blocks, a man begins to talk to himself. Another laughs quietly, the sound cracking like static. Some cry softly into their pillows. Others just sit in stillness, eyes wide open. In ADX, darkness doesn't bring peace. It brings presence. The presence of memory, regret, and the ghosts of choices that led here. A few cells away, an inmate taps his knuckles against the wall, a secret rhythm used to signal a neighbor. There's no reply. There rarely is. Isolation isn't just physical here, it's engineered. Every inch of ADX is designed to separate. Even when two men scream, their voices die before reaching the next door. Travis Dusenbury once described it after his release. You don't see faces. You hear things. Doors closing, metal clanking, keys. But faces? You forget what faces look like. For most men, the first few months are the hardest. For some, the first few nights. The silence starts to bend the mind. Some create imaginary friends. Some relive their past crimes on repeat. Some pray until they forget why. And then there are the veterans. Men who spent years in the dark, who've learned to live with it. They follow strict rituals. Push-ups until exhaustion, counting breaths, reciting entire books from memory. Every ritual is a defense, a way to fight the madness that creeps in with the night. The guards know what happens after 10 p.m. They've seen the patterns, sudden banging, shouting, laughter, tears. They patrol quietly, stopping only if blood shows under the door. For them, it's routine. For the men inside, it's the edge of sanity. The hum of the vent, the buzz of the light, the creak of the bunk, small sound that turn into voices in the dark. A man lies awake, eyes open, staring into nothing. He remembers his last day of freedom, the smell of rain, the sound of music from a passing car. But that world doesn't exist here. Here, the only sound that matters is the door locking behind you. When the lights go out in ADX, sleep isn't the goal. Survival is. And until the morning light creeps through that tiny window, each man inside is left alone with one question. How long can the mind last when there's nothing left to see and no one left to hear you? The lights are out. The fluorescent hum fades to a faint buzz, replaced by silence that feels alive. But inside ADX Florence, silence is never empty. It's crowded with echoes, the breathing, shifting, whispering, and muttering of hundreds of men locked away. Some speak to themselves, fragments of memory bleeding into the present. A man recounts a conversation from 20 years ago. Another recites lines from a book he can't put down, his voice barely above a whisper. There is no conversation here in the ordinary sense. Words don't travel. They bounce off concrete, die in the steel doors. The prison has designed the night to break more than the body. It tests the mind. Down the tier, a faint tapping begins. Knuckles against metal. A secret rhythm passed through walls. One inmate signals another, a lifeline in isolation. The sound is almost inaudible, yet it means survival. In the darkness, some men lie awake for hours, eyes wide, counting cracks in the ceiling. Others meditate, trying to summon calm. A few pace their cell in tiny loops, fighting the claustrophobia that seeps from every wall. The mind invents companions in these hours. Imaginary voices fill the cell, comforting, tormenting, or sometimes both. Some speak to ghosts, others to the life they left behind. Travis Dusenbury, who spent time inside ADX, described it as, "It's like the walls themselves talk to you. Every shadow has a voice, every silence is weight. You learn to listen for things that aren't there." Elsewhere, the air vents carry muffled sound from other tiers, a groan, a cough, a distant laugh. The prison is alive, but it's a strange life, a distorted one. Night here is measured in tiny battles. Every breath is a claim to sanity. Every heartbeat a reminder. You exist, even when the world outside has disappeared. Inmates who have spent years in isolation develop routines. They perform push-ups, stretch, or write on scraps of paper. Some invent mental exercises, reciting phone numbers, memorizing entire books, counting backward from thousands. These rituals are lifelines, defenses against the creeping madness. And yet, despite these defenses, cracks appear. A scream pierces a corridor, sudden, raw, desperate. Guards ignore it unless it threatens safety. Inside, it is a signal that this night, like every other, is a test. The walls of ADX do not discriminate. Every man, regardless of strength or crime, faces the same isolation. Rich, poor, infamous, unknown. The darkness treats them all equally. Hours stretch. Shadows shift. Time loses meaning. The men speak less, think more, and feel every second acutely. Somewhere, someone whispers a name from the past, another silently prays, another beats a rhythm on the steel bed. Night in ADX Florence is more than a passage of time. It is a pulse of the prison, the sound of its heartbeat, echoing through every cell. And inside, the men wait, listen, and survive 1 minute at a time, until the faintest hint of dawn begins to seep through their tiny windows. The silence inside ADX Florence isn't peace. It's punishment. Days blur into nights, and nights fade into something else. There are no clocks, no sunlight, only the rhythm of meals and the cold voice of the intercom. The men here don't count time in hours, they count it in thoughts. In this place, isolation becomes a mirror. It reflects everything you've ever done, every regret you've ever buried. Some men face it, some try to run from it, but in ADX, there's nowhere to run. A former inmate once said, "You start to hear the sound of your own heartbeat louder than anything else. You think you're alone until your mind starts talking back." For some, the silence becomes a teacher. They learn patience, they meditate, they memorize Bible verses, or build imaginary worlds. But for others, it's like being buried alive, fully conscious, but trapped. One man, a former bank robber, described his third year in the box. "It's not the noise that gets you, it's the quiet. It presses on you, day after day, until you forget how to speak." Guards pass by on schedule, faces expressionless, boots echoing down the tier. The only interaction is a brief exchange through a slot, a tray sliding in, a few seconds of human presence, and then silence again. The walls seem to close in. Some inmates start to hallucinate, hearing whispers that aren't there, seeing shadows move. Others talk to insects crawling across the floor, grateful for something alive to respond. Psychologists who studied ADX call it clean torture. No blood, no chains, no screams, just silence and time, perfectly measured. It doesn't destroy the body. It rearranges the mind. In the medical ward, a few prisoners are treated for anxiety, insomnia, or psychosis. They stare blankly at the walls, barely reacting when spoken to. The human mind wasn't built for this kind of stillness. Yet even here, some men find a strange kind of peace. They read. They write letters that may never be sent. They exercise in the same small circles, counting steps to stay grounded. One inmate paints with soap on the wall, washes it off, and starts again, a silent act of resistance. The silence of ADX Florence is more than soundlessness. It's the weight of 1,000 thoughts echoing in concrete. It's the price of survival in a place designed to erase you without ever touching you. And for those who live through it, the world outside no longer feels real. The noise, the colors, the chaos, it all feels foreign. Because once you've lived in silence long enough, you don't just leave it behind, it follows you. Inside ADX, silence is a cost, and every man pays it in his own way. The night at ADX Florence doesn't end with sleep. It fades into morning like a slow exhale. Around 5 a.m., a faint gray light seeps through the narrow window slits. It's not sunrise as most know it, just a pale line cutting to the concrete, marking another day survived. Inside the cells, men stir quietly. Some haven't slept at all. Others wake from shallow dreams, their eyes blinking against the same walls they've seen for years. The night may have passed, but nothing truly changes. The intercom crackles. Stand by for breakfast. The metallic clank of food trays sliding through door slots breaks the silence. For a few seconds, there's movement, the sound of plastic spoons scraping trays, footsteps echoing down the tier.